Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Sue and today we're doing kind of a different format class. We're just doing a lot of stretches for the backs of the legs. So if you had gone for a walk or if you've done a run, a sprint, or any kind of aerobic activity that uses your legs, this might be a good class for you. We're focusing on a lot of hamstring stretches, stretching out the backs of the legs, the calves, a little bit into low back as well. So why don't you join me on the mat? It will be helpful if you have a couple of blocks handy. Not necessary, but really helpful. All right. We'll begin in downward facing dog. So come on down to your hands and knees. Oh. Okay. We're going to start off in downward facing dog. Come on down to your hands and knees. Spread those fingers wide. Curl your toes under and then lift the hips up and back, keeping the knees bent. Rise up onto your tiptoes. Bend those knees, belly towards the thighs. And as you exhale, press one leg. Straighten one leg by pressing that heel down towards the mat. Other knee remains bent. Take an inhale, and with your next exhale, switch it around so that you're bending the other knee and straightening the other leg. Just a few more times on your own here. Bend one knee and then the other. Press down into the fingertips. Feel your shoulder blades spread. Warm up those legs just a little bit more. And then find downward facing dog. Both legs straight. Heels down closer towards the mat best as you can. Try peeling those toes slightly off the mat. Spread those shoulder blades. Press the backs of the legs towards the back wall. Hold it here. One more deep breath. And take a peek in between your hands. Walk your feet to the top of the mat to come into a forward fold. Knees a little bent. Relax the upper body. Move the head a little. Roll out the shoulders or even sway the body gently side to side. If your hands don't touch the ground, grab a hold of a block or two. Find a level that works for you. Rotate the block until you get a good height of the block for you. Then bend one knee, straighten the other leg. And then switch it around. Keep the breath flowing even as you do this. Try to keep the spine relaxed here without rounding out too much. If you can, a straight spine is better. Keep walking out the leg. And coming into a forward fold. Relax. Set the block aside if you're using it. And then bend your knees and slide your hands up the front of your leg. As you come up to standing, drawing the shoulders away from your ears. Okay. We're taking we're taking one of the blocks and we're placing it on the right side of your mat, so towards your right foot, and stepping the right foot on the block. Lower the left foot down. So you have your right knee slightly bent here. Take another inhale to lift and lengthen, and exhale, fold, forward bend. Again, if your hands don't touch the ground, grab a hold of the other block. Okay. As you begin to relax into this pose, try straightening your right leg a little. So you feel quite an intense stretch to the back of the right leg this way. Keep that breath flowing deep. Take one more deep breath here. Okay, bend both knees. Step the left foot back about a couple of foot or so, couple of feet or so, and then slide that right heel down onto the mat. Okay, and you've got the right toes pointed off the mat, lifted off the mat, lifted off the block even. As best as you can. Both legs are straight. Try to keep those hips square, so in line with the front of the mat. And then as you exhale, fold. If you can't get here, you're finding it really hard, step that left foot back even more so you find a little bit more space to bring the belly closer towards the thighs. If your hands are on the ground, push into the floor or press the hips back a little bit more. Feel a little bit more length to the back of that right leg. One more deep breath. Okay, take the block off and from under your foot. Keep the right heel, right toes pointed up towards the ceiling. And if you can, use your right hand to grab a hold of that right foot and continue to gently pull the toes towards your forehead, so towards the ceiling. One more deep breath. And then we'll give that leg a little bit of a break. Come into a runner's lunge. You might have to inch that front foot forward, inch that left foot back until that left knee is slightly behind the hips, pointing the back toe. And just for a little counter stretch here, a little break. Front of that left hip. Stretch for the front of the left hip. We're coming into your dragon pose. Hands on the front thigh, letting the hips sink. Relax the shoulders, lift your chin. One more deep breath. Okay, we'll come back to this in a moment. Step back into downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. A little bit of movement, shifting the hips side to side, whatever needs to be done. And then walk your feet to the top of the mat. Come into your forward fold. Let the head drop. Wrap your hands around the back of your calf, fingertips pointed down towards the heels. And take another inhale to lift up halfway, lengthen the spine, and then use a little bit of your arm strength to draw you deep into this forward bend. One more deep breath. Okay, relax that. Hands on your ground. Lift up halfway, flatten, lift up halfway, draw the belly in. Your hands can be on your thighs or on your shins as well. The crown of the head reaching forward, hips pressing back. And then exhale to fold again, forward bend. And inhale, slide, bend your knees, slide your hands up the front of the thigh. Come to standing, draw the shoulders away from your ears. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and place the block under the left foot. Stepping the left foot on the block and your right foot on the ground. The further back you have that foot, the easier it is. If you place the feet level to one another, it becomes a little harder. Another inhale to lift and lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold, forward bend. Doing your best to straighten the left leg. Two more deep breaths. Step the right foot back about 2 to 3 feet back. Place the heel on the ground and then slide that left heel onto the ground, peeling the left toes off, slightly off the block if possible. And if you need a little bit more, you can bring your hands down onto the ground. Keep stepping that right foot back a little bit more. Okay, otherwise, it's an inhale to lift and exhale to fold. And of course, if you do have extra blocks, you can grab a hold of those 2 blocks and gives you a little lift as well. That makes the pose a little easier. Belly towards the thighs, chest towards the belly to the thighs, chest next, and then maybe nose towards the shins. Pushing down into the floor to press the hips back a little bit more. Deepening the stretch. And then if you could use more than that, remove the blocks. Take the left hand, hold on to the bottom of that left foot and gently pull the toes up towards the crown of towards your forehead. So we've got a deeper stretch here for the hamstrings, even into the calves. And then we'll relax that and come into runner's lunge with the back knee down onto the mat. So dragon pose. Back knee down, point the back toes. Start to crawl your hands up the front thigh. Let the hips press down and forward. Relax the shoulders, lift your chin up slightly. So you've got a great stretch here for the front of that right hip. Take a couple more deep breaths. Right. Bring your hands back down into the ground. Curl your toes up, right toes under, and step that front foot back into downward facing dog. Give that a little bit of movement, paddling out the feet, shifting the hips side to side. In your downward facing dog, place the right hand to the midline of the mat and see if you can let that left shoulder drop, either placing that left forearm on the ground or left hand on the ground, or you can also reach that left hand all the way through to grab a hold of the outside of the right shin, right calf, or right ankle or heel. Pull a little bit more if you can. Keeping both legs straight. You might want to bend with your heels. If they don't come all the way down to the ground, don't worry about it. Okay, and it's a little easier. If you find this really hard, you can even walk that right hand in just a little bit more for a deeper twist. Okay, let's take that to the other side. Place that left hand down on the ground, and we'll do the same thing on the other side, reaching that right hand through, maybe just on the ground, or right hand all the way through to grab a hold of the left wrist, left ankle, or left shin. And we just pull a little bit more if you need it. So we've got this nice twist here and also a hamstring stretch. One more deep breath. And then come on back to your regular downward facing dog. Take your gaze up in between the hands and walk your feet to the top of the mat. Regular forward bend. Take your feet and pivot the toes outwards. Bring the heels together. Another inhale to lift and lengthen, and exhale to fold. Again, blocks are useful. And if you want a little bit more, you can take one or both hands to the back of the legs and just gently pull yourself forward using a little bit of your arm strength. That's too much. One hand can come down for balance, but you're still using the other arm to pull you in. Belly towards the thighs, nose towards the shin, crown of the head reaching forward, looking for a little bit more length in the spine. And then we'll relax that. Pivot the toes up, bring the feet parallel to one another. Another inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. And inhale to come all the way back up. You can slide your hands up the front of the body, or take your arms out and over. Let the palms touch, maybe a gentle back bend. And then go ahead and fold right into a forward bend once again. This time we're bringing the toes together, heels out slightly pigeon-toed. Another inhale to lift and lengthen the spine, and exhale to fold, forward bend. And you can use your hands again, either one hand, just one hand, or use both hands. Again, belly towards the thighs, crown of the head reaching towards the ground, a little bit more length in the spine, pressing the hips back. One more deep breath, and then we'll release that, coming back into your regular forward bend. Another inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to fold, and inhale all the way back up. Again, you can slide your hands up the front of the leg, or take that half sun salutation, a gentle back bend at the very top, and then exhale. Hands back into prayer. We're going to come into a twist in a moment and a forward bend. So let's take a moment here to just readjust the feet. If they are about hips width apart, you can even bring them slightly wider than normal, slightly wider. And then exhale, fold into forward bend. Now we take the right hand and hold on to the outside of the left ankle or left calf. And then the other hand, the left hand, threads through that window that you've made all the way through to grab a hold of the other foot, the other leg. And then you're going to try to use the biceps to draw yourself in a little closer towards the feet, and maybe even bring the head and kind of gaze under that right arm. Okay. So if that's not going to work for you today, just work to rotate, bring the left side of the body a little closer to the left leg. A couple more deep breaths. One more. And then unwind that, relax. Regular forward bend, a little bit of movement here perhaps. Then the hips shift side to side, and we'll head right to the other side. Start off with your left hand reaching to the opposite leg, and then your right hand threads in between that arm and the leg, the hole that you've made. And now, using the bicep strength, try to bring the right side of the body closer towards the right leg, and maybe you can take your gaze under that left arm. And you've got a nice twist here in the forward bend. Breathe. And then release, come into your regular forward bend. Walk your feet in a little closer together. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale to full forward bend, and inhale, coming all the way back up. Maybe gentle back bend at the very top, and then exhale, hands back to prayer. Okay. Next, we're going to probably need a block if your hands don't come down onto the ground. If they do, then you won't need a block. So inhale, take a big inhale, reach those arms up and over, and exhale, full forward bend. Now we've got your hands on the ground or on the block. Walk your hands forward as best as you can. Use those blocks if you have to. Rock back onto your heel. Press the hips back and let the head drop in between the arms. Belly twist the thighs. Try peeling the toes off a little bit more. Good, one more. Okay, after all those forward bends, probably feel good to come into dragon pose. Step the left foot back, lower the back knee down onto the mat. Let the hips sink down and forward as they're trying to place that left thigh bone on the ground, and then hands on your right thigh. Allow the shoulders to relax, lift your chin up slightly. Keep pressing those hips down and forward. Just one more deep breath here. Next, we're coming into a half split blocks. They're really useful here. So if you have them, grab them and place them under the hands on either side of your right leg. As you walk your hands back, as you straighten the right leg, peeling the right toes off the mat. For those of you who feel you're feeling this, you'll stay as you are. But if you need a little bit more, bring the blocks down to its lowest level, and maybe you can a level that works for you, and bring your forearms down onto those blocks. So after a while, you might find that you're quite warm now and you're able to bring your forearms all the way down into the ground. You'll do that. So we'll stay here at about 3 to 4 more breaths. Look for a little bit more length in the spine, belly towards the thighs. Okay, let's bring it back to downward facing dog, or even tabletop if downward dog's too much for you now. It's just for a little bit of movement, so intuitive movements, pedaling out the feet, shifting the hips side to side, things like that. And when you're ready, the left foot steps forward for runner's lunge. The right knee comes down for this one, and you walk your hands up the legs so that you're able to keep pressing the pelvic bone down and forward. Relaxing the shoulders, maybe lifting your chin up slightly. Deep breaths. All right, let's take that into a half split. Use those blocks if you have them. Walk your hands in. Lift the spine. Keep that left leg straight. Try to keep the spine long as you fall forward, and maybe bring the forearms down onto your blocks. Keep pressing the hips back. Keep lengthening the spine. Work to lower the forearms down, or press the belly a little closer towards the thighs. One more deep breath. Perfect. Coming back to downward dog, tabletop, a little bit of movement if you need them. just counter stretching all of that, come into cobra pose. So chest forward, feet, tops of the feet on the ground, and just lifting up as high as comfortable for you, just to feel the stretch to the front of the body. Avoid compressing through the low back. Just keep lifting the chest. Relax the shoulders. One more deep breath. Okay, and let's come into seated from here. Curl your toes under, swing the hips over to one side and grab a seat. Okay, and we're just going to come into a beautiful revolve head to knee pose. It just feels good on the sides of the body for this one. So you've got your right leg stretched out, left knee bent, and slide that right hand along the inside of the right leg, and take your left hand, reach it up and forward, maybe holding on to the foot, and if it doesn't, don't worry about it. Whatever you end up doing, press that left shoulder open, and if you've got a bind, especially if you're able to reach that left foot, extend that left leg. So you want to keep pressing that foot away from the body. Lots of strength in that, with that extended leg. Keep pressing that left shoulder open, maybe even turning your gaze up towards the ceiling. If you need a little bit more, you can reach that right hand all the way across to grab a hold of the outside of the opposite leg. That should give you a little bit more of a twist. 3 more deep breaths. Just a little bit more. And then we'll release, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So you've got your right knee bent, your left leg straight. Slide your left hand along the inside of the left leg. Take your right hand, reach it up, and don't worry if it doesn't touch the foot. But in both cases, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to pivot that right shoulder open. If you've got that bind, keep that left leg strong and extended. One little bit more, reach that left hand through to grab a hold of the outside of the right thigh. And you can even turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. One more deep breath. All right, and then we'll release and come on back up to seated. Just before we move on, walk your hands behind you, fingertips pointed back, bend your knees, and puff the chest up towards the ceiling. We'll stay here for about 2 or 3 deep breaths. Here we go, last one. And then relax. Okay, and then we're moving into our forward bend next. Of course, if forward bend is really hard for you, you'll just find whatever is available to you. Grab a hold of your calves, your ankles, or your big toes, and just move into a forward bend with a nice inhale, lifting up halfway, lengthening the spine, and as you exhale, folding deeper. But if you need a little bit more, you grab a hold of those blocks and place it to at the bottom of the feet. Maybe 1. Okay, so you can reach your hands around those blocks, or 2, or even more if you're quite flexible, or if you have short legs like me. Okay, so we've got grab a hold of the blocks, take another inhale to lift, and now remember, intention here is to press the hips back. So you might have to shift a little, press the hips back, belly towards the thighs, keeping the spine long, chest towards the legs. And then you'll bring your head down towards the ground, and you can use your arms to pull you in a little deeper. We're quite warmed up now with the backs of the legs, and at the same time, make sure you're pushing into the heels so that you feel the stretch of the back of the legs. One more deep breath. And then we'll release that. And then let's finish off here with a simple spinal twist. Place that one left foot in, and then bend your right knee and stick your right hand behind you. Either wrap bring the left elbow to the outside of the right knee, or wrap the arm around the right knee. Okay, so either way, we're lifting to lengthen the spine and then looking for a twist. And breathe. Relax the shoulders. Keep the gaze soft. Good. Coming back to the front and switch those legs around. Just tuck the right foot in. Bring that left foot in. Okay, and then we're taking the left hand behind. Another inhale to lengthen the spine and finding your twist. Soft gaze over that left shoulder. Spine straight up and down. Breathe. And then relax, coming back to the front. So we'll finish off here. If you want to go on and do more yoga poses, your hamstrings are really nice and warm for it. I hope that helped you. And thank you very much for joining me today, and namaste.